and welcome to Every Season Counts, the podcast.
The place where we're going to have fun and raw chats about all things faith and life.
So pull up a pew, grab a coffee, it's going to be so much fun.
Hello guys, and welcome back to Every Season Counts, the podcast. We're so excited to be chatting to you today. How have you been, guys?
Really good, thanks.
Very well. It's been a great week.
Yeah.
Really good week.
How are you, lads?
Yeah, really good, thank you. So what do we get up to this week?
Well, I was on night shifts, so I
rough.
slept. And I went to Wales yesterday for a women's conference, and it was the best thing ever. Shout out to Kate Wright, you flipping smashed it. It was a beautiful day.
So good.
So fun. Beth, we celebrated your birthday recently.
It was
We
so
did.
special.
So nice.
23 now, guys.
Do you want to just talk a little bit about that and what we did?
Yeah. Well, for my birthday, we just had a massive pizza party and ordered loads of huge pizzas, and everyone came round. And it was just so chill, wasn't it? Like, just all of our friends playing spike ball, if you know, you know. And it was just so lush.
Bit of boogieing.
Bit of boogieing.
Honestly, it was the best pizza I've ever eaten as well. Like, it was
You've
like,
not
over-
stopped talking about
I
it.
was going to say, I literally keep thinking about the
I know.
pizza. It was so,
So
nice.
good. It was just so nice. We did some line dancing.
It was actually really fun.
That
Yeah.
was fun.
It was a great evening.
Yeah,
It was
it
lush.
was very fun.
Yeah, nice to have everyone there.
Yeah. I was just thinking, like, you posted a picture after, like, the day after on Instagram, and it was just, like, so nice to see you just surrounded by all your friends. And I think that's just such a lovely thing when you find those people that you just really love, and you can literally have the most chill evening but most special evening as well with them.
Yeah. I think those moments are so special, aren't they? When you, like, get to have a moment to stand back and be like, oh my gosh, this is my community. It's so nice. And I felt like that on that evening. I was like, oh my gosh, I love my friends so much.
It was such a beautiful night. Even, like, just in the way, like, because it was, like, everyone was obviously there to have fun, but they also were just there to, like, honour you. And, like, we, like, went around and, like, spoke the gold out in you. Which was so funny because Beth just got so awkward. But, like, it was just so nice. And, like, you just could just tell, like, Beth's intentionality and all her friendships, like, through everything that everyone was saying. And it was just so...
Thanks,
Yeah.
Max.
Yeah.
So rewarding.
It was lovely.
It was very nice.
It was really nice. Recommend doing birthday questions for your friends if you don't. It's nice to just have a little 5 minutes just to ask them about.
Do you want to say what your birthday questions are?
Okay. My birthday questions, I always ask my friends. Number 1, what have you learnt from this past year? Can be deep or not deep. I always give that to people because I don't want to make people feel on the spot. Then something that you want to learn in the next year. And then I say that everyone should say something they love about the person. Because I just think, like, when we come to celebrate someone, we sometimes actually don't really spend any time really intentionally being like, this is what we really love about you and thank you for being you. So I just think it's really nice to just have 5 minutes of the evening or the day or whatever just to be like, thanks for being our friend.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do it to everyone else, and when it came around to me, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so awkward. So sorry to all my friends, but thank you for your kind words anyway.
It was so nice.
No, it's so nice.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that as you've kind of transitioned from, like, being in school, I mean, Beth, I know you're technically still in uni, but going from being a teenager in secondary school, kind of surrounding, to then growing up, and, like, how have you found that transition in your friendship groups? How would you say that?
I think friendship in adulthood, or, like, early adulthood compared to, well, in my personal experience, is so different to, like, school friendships. Like, other than... I went to a different sixth form college, so my sixth form college people I am still, like, friends with and in contact with. But, like, my secondary school friends, I just don't really speak to any of them. And, like, when I'm not on social media anymore, so even in that regard, like, before then I kind of could, like, when I was on social media, I knew what they were doing. But now, like, just radio silent, I don't know what any of them are doing. Like, which is just so weird because you spend literally 25 hours a week with them for 5 years.
Yeah,
and
it's
then,
really weird.
So, yeah, very different, I think.
Yeah, I think they just are so different. Like, I think I still have friends that I really deeply love and cherish from all through my childhood. But I think as you get older, they become more, like, it's more like sisterhood, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Like, you really are there for each other in the highs and lows in a different way than I experienced in school. And I think just in terms of like living like vulnerably with people by your side, I think that becomes way more of a thing in adulthood
100%.
than in school. Because I think in school there's quite a tendency to be like, I'm fine all the time.
Yeah.
But I think as well, you don't even like to know what you want in friendship. You have to know yourself, and I didn't know myself in school. So how am I supposed to know
That's true.
what kind of friendships I am going to value? And so
Yeah, true.
like, it's nothing against people who I was at school with, but like all of you are just forced together, and you don't actually know, like, you don't actually know what you're looking for or doing, or yeah, I think it's so interesting.
That is so true.
What do you think, Lids?
Yeah, I think kind of like both of you, I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm like nothing against people I went to school with, but like I've changed so much as a person since then, and so it's almost like coming into adulthood, it's like the people who are still with you are probably going to be with you for the rest of your life. Like, you're going to be friends with them in the long run because they've grown with you rather than grown away from you.
It's true.
But then the friends that you make in adulthood, I feel like you're a lot more cautious of who you let in.
Yeah. And I think as well, friendship after school is actually, it has to be so much more intentional because you're not forced together. And so I think a lot of people end up with, like, your friendships are so circumstantial, really, like depending on where you work. And in our case with church, like all of my, like most of my friends are people I've met through church and different stuff like that. But if you don't have that, like, so different, like, I don't even know when you, like, where you'd meet your friends. It would be people from school. And
I was going to say, as an adult, your time gets so much more precious, doesn't it? Because like when you are working and you have loads of things on during the day and stuff, your time to see people and to invest in people becomes way more limited than just seeing someone 5 hours a day every day. And so I think, like you said, Liz, you become way more like, who am I going to really choose to spend time with this week and to invest in? Which I think is kind of beautiful.
Yeah.
Because it means that, like, not everyone is supposed to be, like, a real core part of your life, which is fine.
I also think it means that when you spend time with people, like you said, it's very much purpose-driven, very intentional, and very invested rather than just like on the surface level. Like, you can get a lot deeper with people because you're choosing to be friends with them rather than just them being your peers.
So true.
But I think even in the regard that actually, like, I don't know if us three would necessarily say that we did this, but I think again, if I hadn't had church and like that community, I think a lot of people walk into adulthood and early adulthood really like lonely and actually have like a real season of loneliness and like just being like, right, so all my mates have gone off to different unis and especially if you don't go to uni after school, which I didn't, like, you I definitely know people who have like their first couple years of like being after 18 or whatever just so lonely because you're just like, how do I actually make friendships? Because all I've ever known is just be forced into like hanging out with people like based off my classes or whatever. And so then the reason I think you find more fruit in friendships after school because you have to be intentional in finding those people because you aren't just served it on a silver platter anymore.
That's so true.
It's really hard though. So I'm very grateful that I did have friends and community from church.
So with all of that in mind and being said, the question I have for you guys is, how do you think that you make healthy friends then? Like, in school and out of school.
I think for me, after a couple years of like finding friendships and navigating various friendships, I think to find friendships that you are going to find fruit in and be like, like this person is like, just so good for me and etc. I think it's to do with like becoming what you want to attract. Of like,
that's so good.
If I want a friend that's trustworthy and consistent and can have laughs but also have hard conversations, then I'm going to become that person. Because if I'm that person for everyone I interact with, the people who are also like that will stick. And like you'll be like,
it's like you attract what you give out in a way.
You get this like click. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's so true.
And so I think, genuinely, if you're like, oh, I just don't like, I just remember having a conversation with someone in the cafe one time a couple of weeks back, just about, she was just saying like, oh, I just don't have very good friends. Like, this is like a 30-year-old lady, like she's married with children. She's like, my friends just aren't nice. Like, she was just saying they are just really inconsistent. Like, I never know if they're coming or going, if they're mad at me or not. And I just remember saying to her, this sounds so cutthroat now that I think about it, but it's someone who I know quite well. And I just remember saying to her, like, but how do you think they see you as a friend? Because if they, so for example, if you talk rubbish about your friends to a friend, so say I talked smack about Lydia to Beth, Lydia's going to think, oh, well, I'm not safe in, even if I didn't even talk smack directly to Lydia, she's going to be like, oh, well, if Beth's not safe in friendship with Maddie, why would I be? And so, I was just chatting to this lady and I was like, what do you emulate in friendship? Because if you want someone that's consistent and, kind and honest with you and, like, good at communication, are you doing that to them? Because if not, the standard that you're setting is what you're going to receive. And so I think it's so important to, like, but even just like a practical tip is to write down, what do I want in friendships? And whether that's, Christian friends or, like, you don't have to have, like, non-Christian friends, and just what morals and, like, standards of friendship you want to see within those people that you do life with.
I think from that, just for me personally, growing up, I feel like, we kind of spoke about this last week, but because I'm a quieter person, it's very easy for people to, well, in school anyway, to kind of, I was one of those goody two-shoes in school. I did all the work on time. Like, I was, I guess you could say, teacher's pet. I would do everything by the book. Like, I was very, like...
Nothing wrong with that, Liz.
On it. But you say that. But because of how quiet I was, and I wouldn't, like, put up a fight almost, I found that people would, like, take advantage of me a little bit. And as I kind of grew up and went to, like, sixth form, and now the friends I have, like, it's totally different. But I think it comes down to knowing what your worth is, and if people aren't treating you right, like you said, Mads, like, they're not even, are they even your friends if they're not treating you how you deserve to be treated? And I think something that I've just kind of learned for myself as I've grown up is, are they treating me right? Are they treating me how I deserve to be treated? And if not, then they're not the right people for me.
That's so true. I think I don't know, when it comes down to it, I just think, like we were saying, time is so precious. And especially in your, like, young adult years, like, it's so busy, there's a million things to do, places to travel, people to meet. Like, if someone is not encouraging you, also challenging you, but, like, making you feel valued as a human, they're probably not worth keeping around. Just being honest for that moment, because there's a lot of other people who will.
And I think as well, like, I think if we all have friendships where we, like, they've done something or they keep doing something that we're not happy with. And so I think it's so easy to be like, oh, they're like, why can't I get good friendships? Like, they do that. I just think communication is such a big part of friendship, and, like,
oh, no doubt,
if you want richness in friendship, you need to be able to have conversations and be like, actually, you doing that really hurts me, and, like, you doing that makes me feel really belittled. And, like, I remember I have a good guy friend, and we became friends, and I just started challenging him on a few things within our friendship, and he actually was like, I remember him saying, like, Mads, like, I just really appreciate you saying that, because most friends just would leave me. Like they'd just be like, do you know what?
Yeah.
You're like, he's not worth it.
Yeah.
Like he's not worth the hassle of this. Like I'm just gonna like distance myself. But he was like, the fact that you come to me and say that, like I don't have any malicious intent behind doing that.
1000%.
But I never knew I was doing it or it was being received in that way.
Yeah.
And so now I can act on that because you've told me. And like me and him have like a beautiful friendship, and we always have. But I think it's so important to, like there was times where I've really struggled in friendships with people. But I think it's so important to at least give them a couple chances.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying like someone hurts you once and then you like see it, kid.
Never.
Like there's so much grace for that. And I think especially when it's one of your good friends, like you said, like coming to them and being like, I'm speaking to you about this because I love you. Like, I'm not trying to confront you for this to be an argument. It's because I really value our friendship. 100%. And like, I'm not saying that at all. I think it just gets to a point, doesn't it? That's what I mean.
100%. Oh yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
And if you keep having to have that conversation, you have to be like, is it worth it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Actually, Matt, seeing as you've now mentioned your friendship with a boy, and we're talking about healthy friendships, let's talk about having healthy friendships with the opposite sex.
God blimey.
Classic, isn't it?
Tuck yourselves in, guys, because I could get passionate about this.
Go on,
this is
Mads.
something that I could talk about for so long.
Take the
No,
floor.
you take it away.
No, go for it.
One thing I'll say is no, this is
No, you take it. Okay, fine, I'll do it.
no, I'm saying this before. I'm trying to give context before we start. Basically, what I was going to say is, I would say, as someone who, has quite a few friends, I think us three in this room are quite good at guy-girl friendships, and I know some people aren't. If I'm being honest. So
Matt's really coming through today.
no, I'm not, because it is really hard. But I'm saying like,
no, they're not. It's not easy.
all of anything that we're about to say now is coming. Like, I just want to honour Liz and Beth and to say this is coming from an integral voice, because I know that both these people do friendships with guys really well.
But let me just say, that hasn't just come overnight.
from a stage.
Like,
Yeah,
it's not
100%.
just happened. Like, it has taken
Many
lot,
broken
trial and
hearted
error.
boys.
a lot of years of practice.
Yeah. Okay, then, Matt.
Take the floor.
Okay, I will then. I think guy-girl friendships are so good. Is my first thing. I think to have guys speaking into your life as well as girls is so good because they have a really different perspective, and I just think can be so fruitful in your life. But I do think you have to be aware that they are different to your girlfriends.
Yeah.
And I think previously, back in the day, I used to just be like, oh, if a guy's my best friend, I'll just treat him exactly the same as my girlfriends. And time again, I got myself into situations which just weren't like good for anyone. Like people ended up getting hurt. Friendships 9 times out of 10 actually ended up having to come to an end, sadly. Just because I wasn't stewarding what I'd been given in that friendship. And I think in terms of, especially when you're getting to know a guy, like there can be some, mixed messages, I suppose. This is very different now that I'm in a relationship. Obviously, I'm talking back in the day. But, I think it's in terms of like boundaries. Like, what are you talking about to this guy? Are you sharing the deepest, darkest parts of your heart after meeting him for 3 days? Because realistically, someone is going to read into that.
Yeah.
If you're like me, I would have. Or like, where are you choosing to spend time? What time are you spending time together? How much one-on-one time are you spending together?
Oof.
Like, is it looking more like you're dating?
Yeah.
You know? And I think there is definitely a line. Like, I don't think, in my mind, I don't think you need to not hang out with guys one-on-one, which I know some people do take that approach, which is fine. You do you. But I just do think you have to be really aware of the places that you're doing it. Just to allow for healthy boundaries, I think. And guys, boundaries are good, especially in friendships, because it just means they stick around for longer and better. Yeah. And me and Mads always talk about it, but just if you need to just have a quick conversation, just
100%.
little define the relationship moment of being like, we're both mates and we love each other. Let's carry on in this fashion.
Yeah.
It's great because then there's no murky water. But I do think it's so different in a relationship now. Like when I meet guys.
Why are you pointing at Lydia?
Well,
why aren't you pointing at me?
I wasn't.
just a PSA, guys. Basically, the
For
reason
no
Beth's
reason.
leaving me out is because I'm single and Lydia and Beth aren't. So I'm being left out right now. Okay, you don't know this, but Beth just pointed at Lydia. We. Carry on.
Anyway, I think, yeah, you've just taken me right off my. I think, in a relationship, obviously you're meeting like new friends in a whole different way, because there's now somebody else that you do have to be aware of, and like your guy friendships definitely do look different, especially when they're new, and it's not been like a friendship since before you were together. Because I have like guy friends from way back in the day before Dan and I were together, which obviously do look different to friends that I've met since, because you have to be really aware of like honouring your partner in again all the same things I just said, in the conversations you're having, the time you're spending with them, like what is that looking like?
Yeah.
Because you never want to give your partner a reason to feel anything but completely secure and comfortable.
Yeah.
So
100%.
that's my 2 cents. What about you, Mads?
Like I said, I feel very passionate on this, and I think it's something that really needs to be spoken about, in terms of the amount of conversations I've had with people who like either lead young adults, or even just like, it's a very, I'm saying it again, guys, prevalent. It's a very prevalent topic, and in like young adults, and like I'd say like just young teenage and adult years, where I have spoken to people that just think that you should just keep male and female split completely, and don't like let them interact, because they are going to fancy each other and want to kiss, and it's just really messy and blah blah blah. And I just don't agree with that, because like Beth said, I have so much fruit from male friendships. Like honestly, my life would just be in such a different place if I didn't have my male friends, and like just value them so much. But I think one thing that I really had to be challenged on, and also I think again, another thing we don't speak about, is when you're friends with someone, like if you are friends with someone and you don't fancy them, but you know that they fancy you, you need to talk to them. Stop letting it just fester and just being like, oh, it's kind of an ego boost, so I'm just going to leave that there. Like, because
it's the respect for your friend, isn't it?
It's so unhonouring. Yeah, exactly. Dishonouring. And like, I know that's me saying that from a place of I've done that, and someone just ends up hurt, and it's not worth it. But I think it's, even recently I've like gotten close with a guy who we had to establish that it was just a friendship, and it might be literally a 5-minute conversation. It's kind of awkward of like just want to establish that we're only pursuing friendship in this. But firstly, it creates that establishment of like, I don't need to read into this anything that we now do. Like we both are on the same page of friendship. But also, I think if you haven't gotten to a point of, I think it tells that if you are the one initiating that, it tells that person that firstly you honour them and you're in this friendship for the long haul of like, I want to do this right because you're a friend that I value. But also it creates that foundation of like vulnerability, and like you're kind of putting yourself out there a bit, being like, just don't want to get the chords crossed. And I think on the other side, obviously we have to talk about the other side, is if you do fancy your friend,
oh my
shock
gosh.
horror.
Absolute nightmare.
Honestly, I think fancying someone is the worst thing ever.
You know when you're like laid in bed and you're like, oh no, like, the penny drops.
Please take this away from me.
Take this away.
I think if you have a crush on someone that you're friends with, and you just keep hanging out with them one-on-one, and you just love chatting to them a bit too much, I think it also you have to honour them and their feelings in being like, I actually fancy you, which is a really hard thing to do. And
so hard.
Yeah, I think it's something that wouldn't practice. I don't practice, but I do preach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Lydia?
Well, I just think that kind of all just goes back to communication, to be honest. Like having a healthy friendship, whether it's girls and girls or girls and guys or just guys, like communication is literally the biggest
1000%.
thing for having a healthy friendship. I think that is literally what it all comes down to. And like you said, having those difficult conversations that might be awkward for a minute, but then actually they just benefit you in the long haul, and they'll show you whether that person you're friends with is a true friend or 100%. If they're not a true friend, and then they walk away. Like,
and that's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's going to be hundreds of people that walk in your life for a moment and then leave again, and that's all right.
Yeah,
not everyone who comes in is supposed to stay forever. No hard feelings though.
No, exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
And it also doesn't have to always be beefy.
No, never.
They can just there can just be a very healthy withdrawal.
Yeah.
That doesn't need to be like.
There's 8 billion humans on the planet.
Rude.
Like there's no chance that you're going to get to know and love every single one of them.
No. But you'll find your people that you're supposed to spend your parties with, your birthday parties with, and your deep moments with,
and your weddings
and your joyful moments with.
I think also one thing that I would give as a practical tip, which is one of the things my mentor told me, and it was really, really good, and helped me a lot. And it was at a time where I felt that I actually had a lot of friends, but none of them were like really nitty gritty, good quality friendships. Like,
in the trenches friends.
Yeah, they were all just like, yeah, good, thanks, how are you? Oh yeah, good. Like, but not like sobbing at 4 a.m, being sick because you're so emotional. I don't know.
That's never happened.
That was a bit of an exaggeration. That has never happened. Never. Side-eye. But yeah, those friendships are like, you see the ugliest parts of each other and you're still there. Yeah, and I just was like, I remember saying to her, like, I really just want some like nitty gritty friendships.
Yeah.
And she said to me, because also I think when you have like loads and loads of friends and you're trying to have a quality friendship with all of them, it's just really exhausting, so really overwhelming, trying to juggle way too many plates. And so she said to me, pray and pick 5 people that you are like, I want to do life with these people, like journey with them, like speak on a daily basis, at least a weekly basis, like really, really like know the like 100% of them, know everything, them know everything of me, like be really vulnerable with them, create that culture of vulnerability, and just choose those 5 people. And the others, like, you can still have like a semi deep friendship with, but like those 5 are your priority.
It's your core.
And it helped me so much, my core people, because I just my friendships got so much more fruitful in the way of like some of the plates that I was juggling actually just weren't, like, I was pouring so much into them and just not really getting it back, and so they dropped. But those 5 were like, all 5 are still my really good friends. I could literally name them right now. And so I found that really helpful.
That's really good. And I think if we are going into practical tips, I think something that I've really found that has genuinely just brought a lot of freedom to my life and my mind, kind of like you were just saying, is not every friend is going to be everything. Like, not every friend will be the person you do your spontaneous trips with, and also the person that you're crying with. Like, different people have different roles in your life, and that's good and that's fine. But I think when you're looking at your friend and you're like, you know, why aren't you, like, I feel like I'm really lacking that in that friendship, well, talk to them about it first of all. But also, it's okay if it's not everything. Like, you have your people who, yes, you should be able to do the real highs and the low lows with, but it's okay to just let other people just be. And to just let them be your friends without being like, excuse me, why aren't you crying with me as well? You know?
Yeah. I think it's also to note that any one of your friends is that it's not their job to make you a better person. It's
Yeah.
not their
No
job to
way.
fill you up. Like,
Yeah.
so when you put pressure on a person to do that for you, you're going to be let down
Yeah,
because they're
come
not
on.
going to do that.
Mm.
So I think that's just really important to kind of think about. If you were talking about healthy friendships, it goes both ways. The way
Mm.
that you look at them and the way that what you expect from them, like they're not going to tick every box for you. Like you said, they're going to be there for different reasons. So if you're expecting them to do everything and make you better, cry with you, laugh with you, do the spontaneous things, if you're putting that much pressure on a person, you're going to be let down by them.
1,000%. Yeah.
Mm.
And like, go to Jesus with that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's so many like times where we're praying like, God, give me a person that I can cry to, give me a person I can be vulnerable with, and he's like,
That's literally
bro,
me,
pick me.
Yeah.
Pick me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You don't need those people because I'm here. Like,
With facts.
Mm.
I think, and again, like exactly like you said, Lyd, like it takes so much pressure off your friends and yourself, so then you can just be the best friendship,
Yeah.
being the best friendship you can, because you don't owe each other anything. Like, you can just be
Mm.
like, well, I get all my filling from Jesus, so anything that's an add-on
It's
is
a great extra.
is beauty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
so
that's
true.
so good, Liz.
The bottom line is just communication. Just being in a place where you can talk to them about the really tough stuff, but also just the really light and fun and joyful stuff. And I think if you can talk to someone about both ends of those spectrum, then that's a really good friendship.
Yeah.
And yeah, something that will see you through a lot of different seasons. Something that, so if you don't follow us on Instagram, we post random bits and bobs on the socials, and we were literally just chatting, and I just thought of this post that we put up literally last year, so I don't know why it popped in my head, but the caption says, it's so important to walk with the right people who will encourage you, empower you, and help you deepen your faith, but also people who will challenge you when you need to be challenged and help you to step out when it feels like the hardest thing to do. People who will be there not only through your most joyous times, but will be there through your darkest too. Who are those people for you?
God,
And that is the question of the week.
that was beautiful.
Who are those people for you guys?
Yeah.
Who are those people?
Get that in your
for
flipping
you?
journal. That'll be a good one.
Wow. Did you write that, Lyd?
Yeah, I did.
Flipping
Flippin'
heck.
heck.
Round of
Whoa.
applause. Sheesh.
Yeah, so good. I feel like that's basically everything that we've
Mm.
got for this one.
Yeah.
Hope you guys have enjoyed. Again, that's just us emptying our brains of all of our thoughts of friendship. So
yeah.
if you've got anything to add, let us know.
Yeah, and like we said in the our first intro podcast, we are going to be doing a Q&A at the end of the series, so please feel free to send us in any questions you've got,
Yeah.
anything. Like, you can send them in now, you don't need to wait for
The question box.
the question box.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's stuff on your heart that you're like, yeah, but what about this, or what about that?
let
Like,
us know.
this is such a subjective subject. Subjective subject, and so everyone has such different experiences, and so we want to
Yeah.
hear
Yeah.
what you guys are journeying and what you want
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys.
advice for.
Yeah. Well, thank you for listening, guys. We will catch you next week.
Thanks for being good friends, guys.
Oh,
so
that's so
sweet.
nice.
See you next
See you
week.
next week.
Bye.